Tonight's video lesson is going to focus on chemical and physical changes. This is the first video of our Unit 2 on forensic science. My objectives for you tonight in this video is that you'll be able to identify an example as a physical or chemical change, that you'll be able to identify the 4 indicators for a chemical change, and that you can identify a chemical compound as an ionic compound or a covalent compound. The first part of our video tonight here is going to discuss physical changes, and a physical change is something that can be reversible or irreversible that does not change the composition of the material. So for example here, if I take this sheet of paper here, I can tear the sheet of paper here in half, and that is an irreversible physical change. There's no way that I can get this paper back as one whole sheet, but it's still paper. The only thing that's changed is the shape and size. Other examples of physical changes include the melting or freezing of water, change in state of matter for any element or compound. In a future lab, we're going to be working with iodine to develop fingerprints, and that's going to be an example of a reversible physical change. Chemical changes, on the other hand, completely change the matter from the reactants to new matter as products. And indicators for this include drastic color change, formation of gas, a change in heat, whether it gets hot or cold, or the formation of a precipitate. In the lab today, some of you conducted a couple of experiments where you saw examples of chemical reactions and chemical changes. One of them was the decomposition of hydrogen peroxide by manganese dioxide to form water and oxygen. Another example of a chemical change was the drastic color change when you added iron chloride to the potassium thiocyanate, and it went from a clear color to a deep red. The last part of our lesson tonight here is going to focus on ionic and covalent compounds. And I'm not expecting you to know a lot about ionic and covalent compounds yet. This is going to be something that we're going to cover over the course of this unit. But an ionic compound is composed of 2 or more elements. One of those elements has to be a metal, and at least one of them has to be a nonmetal. Examples of this include table salt or sodium chloride, iron oxide or rust, and potassium chloride. The other compound type that we group compounds into is referred to as covalent compounds. And these compounds are composed of 2 or more nonmetal elements. Examples of this include water, carbon dioxide, or nitrous oxide. The video tonight is going to help us prepare for our lab that we're going to do tomorrow, which is over physical and chemical changes. So you're going to go back into the lab and you're going to work through several stations that have materials laid out to determine whether it's a physical or chemical change. I'm also going to ask you to identify some of them as being an ionic compound or a covalent compound based on the elements that are involved in those compounds.